Okay, welcome to the Notary Ninja podcast. We have a very special guest with us today, and that is Mr. Maurice Lafears. Did I say that right? Lafleur?
The fears.
Lafears. Mr.
Mhm.
Lafleur is from the dodgeball, right? Lafear from Kingdom Mobile Notary, and so Maurice has an interesting background. He has some experience in real estate, but you've come into the notary space basically, I mean, pedal to the metal, starting a signing service and are rocking
Absolutely.
and rolling with it. So I kind of want to hear some of your unique insight and your experience with all of this. And so tell everybody where you're from and kind of what you're doing. Kind of your launch pad.
All right, perfect. So thank you, Mark. So as you mentioned, I started off in real estate. So I done real estate and commercial real estate, and felt there was a big need for services in a lot of the different areas that we supported. So we have those major metropolitan areas, but we also have the outskirts. So I saw there was a need there. So in 2018, I got my notary license, which in the state of Arkansas is very quick process. Didn't leverage it for the first year or so. We're still trying to figure out processes and things of that nature. And then I actually stumbled across Mark's podcast and was like, well, shucks, I could set up a signing service. What does that look like? So kind of followed that process in the background and saw that there's a couple different tools and methodologies that I already had in place from previous experience from my corporate experience as real estate that translates clearly over to the notary space. So their birthed Kingdom Mobile Notary. So I built that local presence here in the Northwest Arkansas area, covering all of Benton and Washington County in this area. So a lot of the corporate relocations, housing documentations, working with some of my realtor partners, and now a nationwide signing service. And that has been an experience so far. And that's from sourcing local notaries and also giving that comfort level of, hey, you can work with us and we are going to give you quality assignments and quick pay so that now we become their provider of choice.
That is awesome. It's crazy how simple the business model is. It's pretty simple. I mean, there's kinks
Very
to work
simple.
out, but the business model in and of itself is very simple. It's a very simplistic model, and I mean, like I said, you pedal to the metal, and I think that having that background definitely did you a solid. And now, correct me if I'm wrong or elaborate on this, but I think you understanding the necessity to the kind of marketing is pretty much everything.
Yes.
Um, that's the I say your job as a notary should be I do my notary thing well and I do marketing. And
Yeah.
then that creates a business where I think a lot of notaries go, well, I do notary. How come I'm not getting any calls? um,
And that's one of the biggest call outs because the first thing I said, I don't do a lot of social media or I'm very inconsistent. But now what you were able to show me is that there is not a need to always be on the camera. Like you can actually do a lot of things that put you in front of the consumer via landing pages. The geo netting was one of the things knowing how to rank properly. So making the Google pages, the Yelp pages, there's so many different ways to market your business, put it out there. And then once people find you, you do a good job, or one of your notaries come in and provide excellent service, they're going to continue to repeat calls and business to your organization. So I've noticed that I've actually been doing this for a month now, and I'm getting up to 10 to 15 calls a day from numerous areas, some remote, some metropolitan areas, and we're able to fill at least 90% of them through some of the methods and means that you've shown us using just basic free tools.
Awesome. That is so awesome. So, and I told you this before off camera, but I've checked on your site and you show up all over the place. And in most instances, in a lot of instances, you're even outranking some of the ones I've got. Like even some of them, you are like top searched, and for areas that are actually population dense. Like I'm going into the area maybe just to kind of scout it out before I fill an order. And I'm like, oh, there he is. How come he didn't
There you
get the
go.
copy? He was there. Um, and so that's exciting. It's really exciting stuff. And the when we launched like the landing pages, uh, I think a lot of people think that this is more complicated than it needs to be, or maybe it's
Right.
expensive, or you need some fancy web developer, or you need a full-time SEO guy. How did that work out for you?
analysis analysis paralysis will kill your business. So it's really getting the first step. Create the initial page, set everything up, and it doesn't have to be perfect. The page I launched didn't have to be perfect. It just has to have a means to book and some information about you. As long as people can book and they can get some information, who you are, where you're located, the rest is simple. They're going to call you and say, hey, I need something signed. They don't care about the nuts and bolts. And that was one of the things that I had to realize. It didn't have to be all in place. You just had to start. And as long as you start, then that reputation is going to build and you'll get that experience, including not having to get any of those paid services because you're going to get marketed to death with a lot of different things. Start with where you are and then build from there. And that was the biggest lesson learned.
That is, man, that is fantastic. It was well said. You basically, most of it is just showing up, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the internet, I think that functionality is way more important than how pretty things are. I see a lot of notaries go, look at my website. I go, you got a lot of pretty stuff on there,
Yeah,
but there's no information.
it's no
There's not,
information.
they need a call to action. You got to tell them what you want them to do.
How do I book and how much do you cost?
Yep.
And
So,
even that, so they even that's based on call per call. And then with the, you don't have to do everything yourself. That was one of the things that I had to like, hey, you don't have to be the entire business, even though it's your business. You just need to have a model that's repeatable, and you can use Fiverr to fill a lot of those gaps. So the things you enjoy doing, jump on those, take action on those. Those that you need to hand off to an expert, don't hesitate to reach out and get those taken care of.
right. In your site, when I came on, when I met you, we looked at your site and really nothing wrong. It had a few simple kinks. Like I think like the SSL was kind of holding you back and we fixed that. Actually, you fixed it. You figured it out. It was just like an update or something.
Yeah,
Um, but what's crazy is that so now you've got this site that shows up nationwide. And I see you on, I want to talk about your Facebook groups too, because I want people to know how to get in touch with you.
sure.
Um, but and I see you putting orders out there. You put them in my group, you put them in your group, and of course now we have other ways to fill them too, which maybe we'll talk a little bit about. But
Sure.
what's crazy to me is when we launched that, which was really simple. I mean, it was minutes, right? I mean, we put a piece of software in your site, and
And it
we
started to roll.
scrapped up a landing page, and we just let it. I remember saying, all right, I'm going to index a couple of these to get you going, but you've got thousands and thousands of pages, and they just picked Google sucked that stuff up. Like did you spend any more money? It was like you just did
I
this, and that
didn't.
was
No, I don't run any ads. I haven't put any Facebook ads, any Google ads, Yep ads, or anything of that nature. Just those landing pages have been gold and getting phone calls. And I'll always ask, how did you find me? Well, hey, I would just Google searched you and you were kind of the first one there. So, are you available? They usually go with the first when it pops up or like the first two. But the thing that I always hear feedback on, and I've heard this in real estate, notary across the board, answer your phone. If you're not
answer
answering
your
your phone
phone.
or giving a quick text, you will lose that business. They will not call back. So always answer your phone, even if they say, hey, can I give you a call right back or shoot a text? So as we were talking, automate your systems to where if you can't take that call at that moment, get some information back. Hey, please go here to my booking page, leave me a message, give some level of communication, and it'll stick with you.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned this too earlier, and this has definitely been a very useful benefit of our business is that, yeah, the phone's ringing a lot, and sometimes it's kind of obnoxious. um, but uh,
Absolutely.
but you will get people that, like you said, you'll get to know you. They'll make an impression, do a good job, and then you find that you've got a repeater, and now that repeater knows, likes, and trusts you. They're just going to send you an email or a text that says, "Hey, I got this
Correct.
coming up. You want it?"
Correct.
Basically, now you've got repeat money on auto that you don't have to work for, and you don't have to even hope that your site ranks for them. They're just going to keep coming. And we talk a little bit about that in the course. I think I have a lesson, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, where I do a
Yep.
case study of the repeat customer, how I made money. And the first transaction was like, wow, that was a good transaction. But then he came back and he came back and he came back. And by
Came
the
back.
end of it, it's like, you're tens of thousands of dollars into this guy.
Yeah.
And it was just the one. So, what do you, let me ask you this, because I know this is, I feel like notaries, a lot of times they maybe get just enough information to be dangerous,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
not to totally excel. What do you feel about the serial cold calling of companies to try to beg for their business? Are you doing any of that?
No. So I actually started with a lot of the cold calling, cold emails, pull a list, and I've gotten maybe one or two callbacks from that. A lot of it's being from interpersonal relationships. I pick up the phone, I call them and introduce who I am. I pop into their office and say, "Hey, you don't know me, but here's some basic flyers. Is it okay if I leave some cards here?" And then I hit some of the local mom and pop shops, the local donut shop that I know everybody's going to stop in the morning. The grocery store has a bulletin board, the doctor's office, places where people are going to sit and wait, and they have time to fumble around. Well, that's where my material is going to be. I've had more success with that than the cold calling and the um, cold emailing. So I would say it's more of that they can put a face with a name. They recognize your
Yeah,
voice. You're part of the community. That's going to get more of that drive, and then now they'll be your marketing tool because hey, just call Maurice or just call Mark, and so that's where all the
absolutely.
business is coming from.
You hit something there that was, I think, a little nugget. There's a little gem there, and I want to just circle back to that because I think people should hear this. Is you said I put material in places where people are they just going to be sitting around fumbling around,
Mhm.
and that is great. Yeah, the donut shop, they're waiting in line for their coffee or whatever. And what I'll tell you, one of the things that we've done before was there's an intersection to turn into go into the suburbs here, and it's always backed up with traffic, and there's like a yield sign and this and that. I've had stickers and just stuck them on the sign, stick it on there. People just sitting there and they see it and they go, oh, I
Oh, there you go.
right. I was half the time what it is there's a UPS store a couple miles away. They've gone
Mhm.
there, and then they got the disappointment, the UPS disappointment, which is why they have a 3-star review everywhere.
Eh,
Um,
when the
but
notary's not there or they can't sign certain documents, so
right,
that's where we come in.
right, and so just I'll just like the turn out of the like as you're leaving UPS, the turn out, the yield or the stop sign there, just put a sticker right there.
Yeah.
They're gonna see that and go, oh, like light bulb moment, like God put it there. Like, here's your
It's like,
sign.
oh, I was looking for a notary, and it's some of the places that people don't think about, like daycare facilities, the local clinic where the athletes are going and getting physicals. A lot of those places, people are coming, sitting, and they need medical forms signed right now. They need documents signed right now. They need vaccination cards, things that they need signed documents to go with before turning in. So you're right there in the forefront. And nursing homes are been big needs. So if you can get in front of that director and say, here's the service I provide, and you're actually coming to their clientele, that has been a big source of local income as well, because those they're saying, hey, we want to clear only a certain amount of people to come through here and deal with our patients. We have a relationship with them. These orders come to you because A, the families are comfortable with you. B, you know our processes, and C, you're going to do a great job. So if you can get into some of those local areas, that's automatic repeat business because they're always going to need something signed, something authorized, wills. That's where your legal documents come in. That's where the repeat customer base is going to be because they always have something that needs to be represented by either themselves or a member of their family. So you're providing that service and they don't have to worry about that. So when you become an advocate for convenience and comfort, um, then that shines well on your business.
Absolutely, I like that a lot. And and just talking about these simple things, hopefully people can get a picture that your market and your services the market share is so much larger when you take off the loan signing goggles and start going, well, what else do I do? I do I-9s, I do vehicle titles, and there's just a huge market of that, and it's the same concept. They need your service. They need to have it done. And as long as you are showing up, you're getting into the mind of them and showing up when and where. I like the daycare thing. That reminds me of a story. We have a repeat customer. They're actually very wealthy people. This lady's like she's like an influencer of sorts, like she has her whole online presence and her high ticket coaching or whatever, but she's a millionaire, multimillionaire. But they're here down the road, maybe 2 miles, 3 miles. But she had her kids at this little kiddie play place called the Busy Beaver. And of course, we've taken our kids there. And my wife, being cognizant, just laid a few cards around,
Hmm.
like the whether you go up to get the coffee or whatever, same thing. You'd
Yeah.
be waiting in line for them to get your coffee. And yeah, we found your card at the Busy Beaver. And so we have been. Now, this lady, of course, her finances are such that she ain't never leaving the home to get a notarization. She's never going to go to a UPS
No,
store. I'll just pay this cat $75 because it's chump change,
come right to my house. Yeah.
right? Every single time. So, and now it's always us just because Grace was mindful enough to leave some cards. And I tell people that one, get business cards. Two, don't keep them. Don't hang on to them. Don't
Give
make a
them
box
away.
of 500 disappear.
Yeah, and on top of the physical cards, for a lot of people, I've actually used several of those digital cards where it puts that contact information. So, and not only do I send for Google reviews and say here's a link, I also just randomly send out a breakdown of, if you have a link tree, share that link tree. If you have some business card, something that people can automatically save your contact information, it pops, versus some of the physical cards. Not everyone's going to keep those physical cards, so try both methodologies. Keep your link trees that you can quickly share information, or a digital business card where it sends information, but also request information from the client. So now you can capture them and put them in your database. You can always send, follow-ups to them, happy Valentine's Day, happy birthday, holiday type, stay top of mind. So it's always going to allow you to now have that personal touch, and you're going to learn more and more about that client. How's your dog Rufus doing, and things of that nature. That's going to make them more inclined because you've taken some investment in them as a partner.
I like that. I like that. That's that lifetime value customer, that once you got them, if you got the ones that you got for life, then you have a book of business. You have a book of business that isn't dependent on any one signing service or any one title company, but a large plethora of them. So tell me a little bit about, you've got a Facebook group. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what's the name of your Facebook group?
Arkansas Notary Network. If you go out to Facebook, and you can just join our group, and what we try to do is we bring in um, realtors, loan agents, title companies, um, car dealership owners, and what we do is we bring them into the group, and now they have a single source that they can use to go and use our services. So if they say, hey, I'm looking for a notary and I need them in Fayetteville right away, they'll post something in the network, and anybody in the group can take it. We also take some of the signings from clientele that we get from the pages that we have out there, and I'll post opportunities out to the group so that now we can keep our notaries local working. So it's the Arkansas Notary Network. Go out and follow us. Join our group, invite your friends. It's open to everybody. It's just giving a means of saying this is a group of professionals in the area that have been NNA certified and willing to support and help you in your local area.
I love it. And we should clarify that that's the name of it. It doesn't matter if you're in Arkansas. People know we
Right.
have a Florida notary. They're like, "Are you only do Florida?" I'm like, "No, you can see that I get a lot of Florida work." But we don't only do Florida. We do everywhere, just like Maurice does.
That's
So
correct.
just because it's called Arkansas doesn't mean there's nothing there for you, because I've seen your posts and you've got them California, Texas. You're just cranking them out, and it
Yeah.
makes me proud. Actually, I'm like, hey, he's doing it, man. He's got it. Um, the other thing about this idea of what you said, I like what you said about you're bringing in kind of people from all walks of life and all businesses. What I like about this is it releases, this is going to be controversial for some people, it releases the stranglehold that SnapDocs and maybe signing orders, some of them have a bit of a chokehold on notaries and a chokehold on the market. And it kind of makes it like it's part of a like a solution to that, you know, because this
Yeah.
just benefits everybody, where that is a almost a gatekeeping system. And one of the things that I don't think notaries realize this, and I mean, to be fair, I'm on SnapDocs and I'm on signing order. I almost didn't renew my NNA this year, but I did. I thought, I was like, well, you don't even need this anymore, man. This is just a parlor trick now. But I did. The main reason I did it is to record me doing the test because I wanted to see if it changed anything. So, newsflash: the questions never change; they're the same every single year.
They're the same.
Um, but so that was, I was like, well, I'll pay $80 just to see if the questions change. Um,
Yeah.
but for the most part, you can get to a level where you don't need any of their certifications. Get them, you know. For us, it gives us as a signing service. I think we know that you're clear. We know that there's a good chance you're going to do some quality
Yeah.
work, and that you're not. But what I do see is there's a bit of a gatekeeping. Like I'm big on, I'll give new notaries an opportunity. I had one message me just last night because I had posted a purchase for, I think, Fort Myers, and this is something where conventional signing services will say you got to have 2 years experience, or we don't even want to hear from you, you know, and stuff like that. Or you've got to have been a notary for XYZ, or you've got to have XYZ notary to
Certain
pros,
signing. Do you got
right?
50
Just
signings? Yeah.
basically the gatekeeping. And she's like, you know, I'll be honest with you, I haven't done a purchase yet, but you know, I'd like the opportunity. I'm like, yeah, I just, it's just as simple as, yes, I'll give you the shot. Just call me at the table if you get confused about something, so I can walk you through it. That's all I ask, but I'll give you the shot. Um, so I think what we're doing something that is I would like to think, and I hope is like kind of like a breath of fresh air for the notary community. I'm not
Correct.
gatekeeping. I try to be as generous with the pay, as fast with the pay, and you do too. And I'll ask you about that too, um, as possible. Basically, just taking minimal interest spread that makes it worthwhile for me to do that. But this is like it's almost like taking the whole signing service and notary, and we just kind of flipped it on its head. And we're like, well, we're
Correct.
going to do it this way. Um, so I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about your experience and kind of your order filling process and your paying process, and why that maybe probably is better than some of the other um, systems that are out there that are ironically linked to those gatekeeping. But before I ask you that, I wanted to finish that thought on SnapDocs. So what SnapDocs does is you go in and create a profile in there. And I want to tell everybody this. I should have done a video about this years ago, but I'm just going to talk it through. What they do is you go in and create a profile with them. Now, your profile is not active until you've got all the bells and whistles that they want, you know, all the little secret
Correct.
certifications in there. But then what they do is your profile that you made and that you did all the stuff for, they now use that as a landing page to market their brand.
Yep.
So if somebody comes to SnapDocs, they cannot get your information without first putting their information in.
And
And now
registering.
SnapDocs having the ability to, how do I know that? Because I do that. I mean, because I've had to get on SnapDocs, and then I get the director of SnapDocs going, do you want to use our paging system? And then I have to go through no, because you're gatekeeping.
Mhm.
but so I think I just want to make notaries aware of that they, while I use it and there is work to be had from there, they don't have your best interest in mind. Okay. They have their interests in mind. So,
Correct.
and I think you guys like you and me, we have your interest in mind. I have your interest in mind. I think it's it's a win-win that we're trying to create. So tell me a little bit about your system, maybe your order filling, and obviously we use the Facebook groups. I think it's a great way to foster good community and to actually get to know notaries on a one-to-one basis. And I have a thought on that I'm going to elaborate on in a minute too, but just because
Perfect.
sometimes I like to get on my ivory tower, but um, I'm gonna circle back to that in a second. But so tell me a little bit about the kind of your order filling and how you're dispatching or how you're paying notaries even.
Yeah, so ultimately, have calls from. I set up a Google Voice number, so I have a business line that I use that as the primary. So I know that those calls are coming into that line are specifically for business. So that gives me an indication of how I should handle that. We're also getting some direct bookings from the booking page. So I'll get an email or a text notification. Someone's kind of booked you, which we take an initial deposit. That's our spread. So we said what we want that spread to be based on what intake we've done with that client. You know, how many pages you have, how many signings, what's the distance from the location of either myself or that notary that will be assigned. So we'll take that initial booking. That's just kind of our security to say that we are going to do some work. That's showing that your level of interest, your level of, okay, I got to get this filled. So
You're
I know that
serious, right?
customer's not going
Yeah,
anywhere. So and whether they cancel or not, I've covered the time that I put in that.
absolutely.
From that point, we go and we do a search, notary resume and signing order, and we're able to do um, some extracting of information. We know that that group of notaries has agreed to be contacted for our signing services. That allows us to reach out to them freely. And so we'll just kind of page out using a template. Here's the type of order, location, time, and basic pay. And so what I try to do is, and I think this is where notaries appreciate where we're at, we're going to give a higher spread. What we see consistently across the industry is that they'll get a $20 pay fee from the gatekeepers, as you put it, from, I got to drive 20 miles, print 50 pages, and I got 10 signatures for $20.
Let
We're
me cut,
giving them a higher piece of the
let me
spread.
chime in. Average
I
notice of
knew I was setting
commencement
you
I
up.
see is like 20, 25 bucks. I will never pay less than 50 to go do an NOC. Average is around 70. So just keep that
Yep,
in mind that that should be your money. So if you aren't getting 50, they're just taking more of your money.
correct. And that's where that whole gatekeeper portion comes in, because they're taking a larger spread, whatever that percent. So let's look at it. They may be taking 80 and dropping 20 into the notary bucket. You're traveling 20 to 30 miles. No, you're going to get the larger spread. So we're going to get the business. We're putting it in front of you. So the busier we keep you, the busier our clients are gonna, be by calling us in, because we're getting things knocked out. And they're like, shucks, that got filled in 30 minutes. Here's 10 more. We're keeping that notary business. So now they're gonna be able to take more orders, better pay, and then we're gonna be able to get our retainer. So now we're keeping notaries working, and then they'll eventually bring people to us. Hey, and I've had notaries reach back and say, hey, please reach out to Kingdom Mobile Notary. They can get you taken care of. So that's actually driving the industry by notaries within the notary community. So if we take ownership of that, we can pretty much help each other build. And that's what we try to do in the Arkansas Notary Network. Put out your page, put out your booking site. Let's share, let's support. And that's what's going to drive that awareness of who's in your local area.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's this a phrase comes to mind, and this one of my pastors always said this: "A rising tide raises all ships." You
Yep,
know,
absolutely.
so I think that the price, the the signing services that are doing the pricing, I think that it's a one-way ticket to the bottom, and if you just keep playing that game, it may just get worse and worse. And I shared with you earlier, and I'll say it for the podcast, like over the last weekend, I won't say the name of the title company, but they're actually a title company with their in-house signing service, one of those ones that narrows it down to about a dozen. But they wanted me to do, a package, and of course they were pretty vague about what it was, but the pay was 70. And then when I found out what the package really was, closer to 200 pages, dozens of notarizations, I said, well, there's no way. If this person had printed this and brought it to my office and I never left, I would have paid twice as much. Ironically, made way more than they were going to pay me just staying at home with in-office visits I had that day anyways. So
Yep.
it literally would, there was absolutely no reason to do it. So of course I canceled that, but and that's just I realize new notaries might not be in the position to stand their ground, but hopefully you get there to that point where you can just stand your ground and kind of posture yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I even see those seasoned notaries that, and I want to ask, this is going to lead into a question. I see seasoned notaries that seem like they are losing business because they feel like new notaries might be pricing them out of business with that kind of
Yep.
one-way ticket to the bottom. I haven't experienced that. I have like, this is my price. If you aren't paying it, you're talking to the wrong company. Bye. Like that's kind of my thought is if you don't, if you aren't, we aren't having a pull out your credit card conversation. Why are you on my phone? Kind of thing. And that might sound a little crass, but that's the mindset you should be in as a business owner is this is the fees for the service I offer. Do you want to move forward or don't you? If you want a price shop, be my guest. These are kind of market rates.
And the way I always look at it is that look at it from this perspective. You don't go into the hamburger place, we're going to put specific names on there and negotiate the prices of a hamburger. You don't go into the grocery store and negotiate the prices. Those are businesses that are operating, and those prices are not questioned. So your price is your price. So don't be shamed or embarrassed to quote your price. And if that customer feels like that's too much, that's not your customer base. But always keep that power of walking away. And I think that's a message to new and seasoned notaries that it's okay to say no, because then if that order can't be filled and you're in that general area, they'll circle back around, and then you'll quickly see that they were undercutting me to begin with. So price out, and if they call back, this is my price. Most of the time they call back, and that's been my experience. So always keep that power of walking away, because my time is valuable. Your gas, your maintenance, the printing. There's a lot of expenses that people don't consider in the notary business that we occur on a day-to-day basis. You're providing convenience. No one questions DoorDash. Why do you question a mobile notary? It's the
Man, that's it right
same
there.
service.
I've actually used that line with customers on the phone. If they seem a little bit hesitant, the price, like if I detect it, I say, well, my wife spent $60 in DoorDash last night. I'm gonna throw her
Yeah,
under the bus. But the price was what it was, right? But I'll say that to people. Well, DoorDash, people will spend drop a 50 on a DoorDash. You're getting food. So you want me to send a legal service professional out to you to take care of highly sensitive documents that I'm assuming are probably important, or you wouldn't have called me in the first place. And
right.
then it flips the script in their mind, and they start realizing, okay, yeah, I guess I get it now. So, um, and just some as simple as that. Just stand. I love that. Just stand firm on your price. It is what it is. We have a In Florida, we have a couple different campaigns, which is why we tend to have a higher volume in Florida. But we have one campaign under Florida Notary Services, but then we have another under our brand Noble Notary, two different
Yeah,
numbers. And this just happened recently where a gentleman called, and we'll just say his voice was very recognizable. Called my wife. She gave him the quote for a VIN. He didn't like that quote. 10 minutes later, called the other line. I answered the phone, gave him the same quote. Of course, he thinks he called two different businesses, but he called the same one, and he got it. And he's like, I guess that's just the going rate then, right? I said, that's the going rate if you
yeah,
want
that's
this
the rate.
particular thing done. And then, of course, he had to pull out his anyway. So, but he was willing to pay that. He just needed to, he needed to know that that's, this is about as good as you're going to get.
Correct. And I've had that experience. So recently, as of yesterday, gentleman say, "Well, I'll call around." We quoted him. I mean, it's a very fair quote, and we quoted him, and he called back, and he's like, "Well, man, you're probably the most reasonably priced for the amount of work." And it was 10 pages, it was a small signing, but he wanted to. He had a number in his head that felt right, and when he realized how people were trying to upcharged due to signing services, and he called right back and was like, you know what, you are priced reasonably. And since then, and that was yesterday, he sent 4 orders our direction. So, and that's given more opportunities for our local notaries.
Nice, nice. And I love what you said about having the ability to walk away. We've actually had, this has happened a couple of times. I've had a title company use our service. We booked a notary, and the notary had to cancel. And then that happens, and said, all right, let me, no problem. I can restaff that. I've got that area covered. And then they said, no, we're going to do it. We're going to fill it. So they wanted to try to shave a little off the margin. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to change my name. I'm still going to get 10 calls today. Um, but then they, like a week later, circled back and wanted to use me again. And I said, no, you had you had used my service before, and then you decided to undercut me, and I will no longer do signings for you, period. Bye. Like, you're fired, like, you're fired. But that's posture, that is posture.
That's
That's
correct.
that. No, you can't just abuse my service. We can have a good working relationship or not. And I like, and I'm gonna, I don't know if you've read this book or not, but there's a book by Tim Ferriss he wrote a number of years ago called The 4 Hour Work Week. I still haven't achieved
I,
that, but
I have
uh,
watched that. I have read that book. Yes, I have.
I
Yep.
love what he says. He talks about this 80-20 rule, and he gives this example of how he was shipping like supplements, and one of the people he was supplying for was like the biggest headache, but they were only like 20% of the revenue, but they were 80% of the headache. Where he had other ones that were like 80% of the revenue, 20%, no headache. And he was like looking at it all. He's like, well, why don't I just get rid of these people? Like, they're just nix them, like, do
Yeah.
without them. And we've done that too. We had a photo inspection contract that was 80% of our headache, 20% of our revenue. And we just, Grace and I had a discussion, and we're like, hey, we're going to have to just tell the contact point that we're the wrong company for this. So it's just not being run the way that it was for an investor, but I'm like, I'm sorry, but your investor is not my boss. And I
Correct.
run my business my way. And if he doesn't want to let me do the service the way I run my business, the way I need them to pay, the way I'm going to do this, then wrong company. Sorry. But that has, of course, allowed me, freed up my schedule to deal with the more important ones, the ones that I really want the relationship with. When you foster those relationships, they'll refer you, and that brings me to another point that you touched on, is the word of mouth is still the biggest form of marketing. It's still the best form of
Absolutely.
marketing. It's always going to be. And so you do need to foster those relationships when you get them, and be mindful of them. Whether and it's okay if you burn a bridge. That's just the fact of life. Not everybody's going to like you or me or anybody else, but the ones that you have the potential for, you definitely need to foster those relationships. And so with that, what do you do? You obviously, you getting these repeaters that you're having good communication with them. Tell me a little bit about that.
So the biggest thing that I try to do is to, if it's someone that I've kind of done business with before, then we'll kind of pick up from that point. Hey, you did a great job. There's always some of that affirmation. But if it's someone new, we're still trying to build, is that clean communication, of setting the expectations, the availability, and also being able to say, as you mentioned, if it's a 20% headache, sometimes you got to cut off some of the dead leaves for new growth. So it's like saying cutting some of the things that are causing some of the frustration, the headache, the kinks in the business, so that now you can foster new relationships. So it's always trying to build some level of familiarity with those that I'm working with, even if it's through text messages or assignments, so that now they know that we do care about their business as well as ours. So if we're caring about their business, they're going to take care of your business like it's their own, because now there's a partnership there. And that's the focal point. Is how they become an extension of your team versus just an assignment. And that's what we try to foster.
Excellent, excellent info. So I said there was an idea I wanted to touch on, and with your Facebook group, and so just for notaries who might think, well, there's 100 notary Facebook groups out there. Why should I join one more? I want to kind of pull back the veil on a couple of things. Number
Absolutely.
one, with your group and my group, there's no strings attached. Welcome, comment, drop your business cards, network with each other. No strings
It's your
attached.
group.
It's for
It's your
us,
group.
right? Right. There's a board for us to put stuff on there, and obviously it has been beneficial not only for me filling orders and you filling orders, but for us connecting with new notaries who haven't even been given a shot yet.
Correct.
But what I'm going to say is there are Facebook groups out there, there are notary Facebook groups, that they are the essence of the gatekeeping practice. And what these groups do, these groups they're actually developed by the loan signing system. And they are the moderators and the administrators of those are brand ambassadors. There are other signing service owners like us, but they are brand ambassadors for that brand. So they are gatekeeping information at the core. If you get in there and you tell somebody, I think it's a good idea to put a big banner graphic in the back of your window so people will notice you, they may click delete, kick you out because that idea didn't come from the loan signing system, and it wasn't centered
Right.
around funneling you towards a loan signing system purchase. So I just want to put that out there. Hey, stay in the group if you like their groups, but there's gatekeeping because those groups have a goal in mind, and the goal is that everything leads to loan signing system. So, and
Yeah.
if you buy it, you like them, you love it, good. I'm not going to say anything about that, but just know that there's filters on those groups. And that's unfortunate because, like I said, ours, there's no strings attached. It's come one, come all, join. We're going to get signings. Hey, if you've got, there's a notary in my group she's selling those graphics. Long as I don't hear a complaint that you were ripping people off, go for it. That's awesome. More power to you. I do filter out the Fiverr spammers that are, I'll build you a website. Yeah, right.
No, but I think you called out a good point. So there's a couple different things you'll get in these groups. So you get the free templates, you're getting some free education, you're getting the announcement. So you're getting quality warm leads that have already been secured. So you know if you get to sign this particular signing or particular document, it's a live client, and that's going to turn into more. Also, there's a lot of free information sharing for us, free of thoughts, wins, their support. So there's never anything that's really a cost to that notary. So that is your safe space to say, well, hey, what do I do with this particular document? And there's templates that I've actually put in our group to say, hey, use this template to create a flyer or door knocker or
That is
whatever it
awesome.
is that use it. And just different things that I'm trying out. Where I know we both kind of play with some tech, so it's like, okay, here's some different tools to look into, so that now others can streamline their business, and we have a better means of getting things to them other than just email and text. So there's always some growth and learning opportunities in there with no limitations, as long as you being fair and honest to people.
Awesome. That is awesome. So now when I work for another signing service, which is rare because there's a few I love, but it's rare anymore. But I noticed that a lot of them are on like what I would call a 30-day pay cycle.
Yep.
And hell, sometimes I forget they owed me money, and then I guess I get a check or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I got paid because I don't get paid, a 2 week or 30-day pay cycle for them. Title companies actually pay you quicker than that, but quicker than signing services. So, uh, but so that was one of the things that I didn't like and thought, well, I'm going to incentivize the notary further by paying them 10 times faster than they're going to get paid, maybe even that day or the next day. And so you've been doing a little bit of this too, right?
Yeah, so what I try to do, and I communicate that to the notaries up front, we try to pay you within 48 hours. So essentially, we've taken payment from our clients. Once you've confirmed, so putting that process in place, your confirmation that that signing is complete, we'll get some feedback from the notary. How did the signing go? What was your experience? Just ways to improve, and then we'll get scan backs. Just that way we can share it with our clients and
Confirmation,
say
right?
this is completed, it's done, and it's also confirmation for us as the signing service that you're ready to be paid. And usually I try to get their payment information up front. And before we end the call, they usually have pay and they can confirm it with me. If not, I'll get it taken care of, and I'll do a follow up and say, hey, your pay's there. And they're like, thank you. Wow. I just did this an hour ago and I got paid. Outstanding. That's money they can realize up front.
Yeah, almost like if they did the signing themselves.
Correct.
And the fee is what I find is within, I put myself, anytime I take a signing and I quote a price, I'm, for starters, I'm going to be clear with notaries. When I hire or when I fill an order, I'm going to be right up front with you. I am overcharging that customer. Okay. They are getting overcharged. Okay. So it's a tougher sell for me than you. Now, if somebody calls me here in Orange, Florida and says, I need a VIN verification and I'm in XYZ, it's probably $75 for me to go do that. I'll even do it for 50 because I go, well, I'll go 2 miles down the road for $50 or $75. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, if they call me and they are 2 towns over, 3 towns over, and I'm not going to go do it, they're going to get overcharged for it. That way, the notary still gets again, in my mind, what would I go do this for? Okay. And so if I'm getting a notary that is in that, is zoned in that zip code, I'm paying you what you probably would have paid yourself anyway. Ideally, I try to keep it as close to that as possible. Um, I don't know if you doing any of that and kind of you've had your experience with that.
Yeah, so again, it goes back to that analogy. When I do food delivery or grocery delivery, or heck, sometimes when even you make a payment, they charge you this convenience fee. So there's always throughout the course of the economy now where there's a fee for that level of convenience. And I'm upfront with the client to say, hey, there is a convenience fee, and here and that convenience fee does include the assignment, the dispatch of the notary, your first travel fee, and your first notarization. Everything above beyond that is based on the amount of signatures and pages. That's why I asked you certain questions. So they're clear that they are getting paid for the convenience and the travel of getting that notary out to them. So there's not a, well, why are you charging me this price versus this price? It's upfront. So there's no question. So I try to anticipate and eliminate that doubt before it becomes a doubt. So I know itemized what I'm being charged for. And I get them to, like you mentioned, confirm that up front, that price works. Let's go and get payment. They're locked in. So there's no more questions on payment. And I've already have an agreement with that notary. Here's what I'm going to pay you pending no changes take place. So everybody's aligned and invoiced and paid. So when that notary does kind of go through our process and confirm they're completed, they're paid. That level of trust, there's no more question. Okay, he says he's going to pay within 48 hours. Shucks, I got paid a couple hours. I'm done. I'm taking this. Now they're more willing that when you send out an opportunity, hey, I'm on that because I need that $50 today versus a net 30, net 45, Fed net 60. Who wants to wait 60 days to get
I
paid
get
for
$25.
Yeah, so no, I think that is appreciated more because now they can replace that gas, they can buy lunch, they can do whatever they need. They take two of your signings that probably covered some expenses they had to wait weeks for. So that's where we benefit a lot of notaries.
Absolutely. This is a superior notary service. This is what a
Absolutely.
superior notary service really looks like. Um, so, for the notaries out there, I want to put this thought into your head that you have, when we're doing this, you have this unique advantage that when you go out to them, the ball's in your court. So you now have the ability to, you could capture our lead for yourself. Now, usually if it's one of our repeaters, like a title or an attorney or like these car dealerships or property management companies, like got a whole slew of different things, but they're always going to come back to us because they know that we have they know what we do. They want the efficiency of, you can staff it anywhere at any time. But for the notary, you're in a unique advantage that you can offer and deliver good service. So when you go out there, you shouldn't be in the mindset of, I'm doing this for this pay for this person. It should be that I'm here to serve this customer and I can potentially capture that lead for free. I mean, for
Absolutely.
pay. I mean, um,
Absolutely.
and that then gives you the ability to build your own book of business and your own network by leveraging a signing service.
And I always encourage notaries, if you have cards, if you have information you want to leave with that client, feel free. That way, because they're going to always need you. So now you've kind of helped them increase their reach, and you've helped your client as well feel. So their client's going to always reach back to you in the case that now I've reached back to this local notary that we have this relationship with, or that direct client that you just served is going to come back to you. Now you have a direct line. So we've added value to your business.
Absolutely. That is great. That is great. I love it, man. I'm having fun over here. It sounds like you have been really rocking and rolling with this. And
Absolutely. It
I'm gonna
clicks.
let me
It
ask you,
clicks.
let me pitch my course here real quick. Let
Go
me do a
ahead.
shameless plug. So you came in guns blazing, man. You were like, I know what I want to do. I know what I know what I want to do with this. And, he said, I've heard you talk about this and I want to come in at the full steam. And you did. I mean, you put the money down, you got the information. Was it worth
Every penny. So within the first couple lessons, the first thing that I started to learn was about all of these different methods and ways to market yourself that didn't require you just to do 10 posts on LinkedIn or Facebook a day. It's just I've realized within myself, I'm never going to do that. I'm not. But there's ways to put the business out there that are more efficient and effective. That's going to bring a lot of the warm leads. And that's the first things I learned, how to pull information to source a notary signing agent. That's what gave me the idea, because now I can go and quickly find 100 to 200 notaries in a particular area to fill an order. So now how do I go get the orders? And that's what we started to do, a lot of the replication and the setup and set up your payment. So now you're not losing anything in those calls, but you're actually gaining something through the booking fees and things of that nature. So that you're not always searching for that next dollar. You're getting it through that, and then you're helping other notaries in the process. So great value, a lot of tips and trades that you wouldn't hear in some of the other courses, because like you mentioned, it's all loan signings. It's talked about legal documents. It talks about ladybird deeds. So now you can specialize in areas that you feel comfortable. If you want to just market an I-9 verification, you can create a whole business around I-9 verifications. The opportunities are endless, and that's what I got from the course. So please check it out. It's definitely worth for every penny.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate the feedback, and I'm glad that with you, we've been able to set up these evergreen marketing in place that it's going to just keep working and working and working. And now we're even, again, off camera, we talked about a couple other campaigns that are probably gonna, they're gonna raise the bar even more, because they're endless. And when we get the logistics of filling the orders, and you're comfortable with it, we're gonna go, all right, let's do another campaign that targets a more specific level of service, and then more calls and
Absolutely.
more for notaries. That's cool. That's cool. Well, thank you again for being on the show. So you give everybody your website and how to get a hold of you, and your Facebook group one more time.
Yeah, you can reach me at Kingdom Mobile Notary LLC.net. That's our main page. You can reach us at our business line 479-633-7282, and then follow us on Arkansas Notary Network.
Perfect. And if a notary wants to say they want to be in your network, what's the best way for them to do that?
There's a contact us page on our website. Again, Kingdom Mobile Notary LLC.net. Just send us a quick message, or send us a text at 479-633-7282.
Yeah, awesome. And that's it. There you go. Maurice with Kingdom Mobile Notary. He is running a signing service. He has jobs for you out there, jobs that are recession proof,
Absolutely.
jobs that pay fast, and jobs that are easy. And that I think you, like me, we're willing to give the newer notaries, we're willing to give you a shot at we're willing to let you take a gamble on you, and let you prove yourself to us. And from there, let me ask you this, and I'll close it up. Have you got, and I think you showed me this off screen with the closewise, but have you got preferred notaries that you have, that you kind of go to them like, oh, I already know, I know exactly who I'm gonna text?
Yeah, so essentially what I do is I'll favorite those in that particular area. So tagging make being organized to tag based on the area that they support. Set them as preferred and favorite in both my CRM and in my call text communication, so that when that area does pop up, they'll get the first calls. And I usually just say, hey, because you are responding, because you have done a great job, how would you like to be in our preferred notary network? And they happily accept. So they will get the first calls, and they have a right for first refusal. So that partnership is real, like we're their extension of the team. If they can't take it, then we'll move on to the next one. But we always go to those preferred first.
That is awesome. And I mean, from there, that kind of, like you just said it at the very beginning of the podcast, was just answer your phone. um, Answer your phone. Make
Answer your
sure
phone.
that if you are on different platforms or directories, make sure that your mobile phone is on there, that you could get text from. And like Marie said, if you're on some of them, you've opted for people like us to reach out to you, and we will reach out to you. And of course, once we know you, like I know there's certain calls I get in certain towns, and I immediately know I know who's gonna do it, because they've come through for me. And so I'm more than glad to give them first dibs. And just because let's say I have a preferred notary, for example, in Palm Beach County, doesn't mean that I don't want, need, and am happy to have a second preferred notary and a third preferred. I will always, I'm perfectly comfortable with having my handful of first dibs, and then I'll go through the network from there. And the reality is like the system I use, it's basically it's way cheaper than signing order or. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but signing order, if you're on there, they would charge us like $3 a fill, which is expensive. It doesn't sound like much when I say $3, but do the math on that times a calendar month with 5 orders you're filling every day or 10 orders every day. That's way too much. I mean, at that point, you're just, what did you do other than you had their contact info? But the way we do it with my system, I get charged per text, but so the less I have to text and the more preferred I have, the better it is for me and the faster we can fill orders, the better it
Passion
makes
Phil.
everybody look. So it's definitely in your best interest to do good work, to connect with us, to get in our network and to be quick to respond. It's gonna benefit you in the short term and in the long term.
Perfect. Yeah, and I reiterate that the biggest feedback that I do receive from a lot of clients is no one answered the phone but you, or you called us back, even if I missed the call, or we had a means to reach you. So always give some, make sure you're messaging, make sure that you have some autoresponders or whatever you can to make some initial contact, because if you don't respond within the initial 5 minutes, you lose that client. But if they at least have some contact information, say, hey, sorry, I'm in a meeting at the moment, or sorry, let me get back to you in 10 minutes, or whatever it may be, they'll wait on you. And when you call back, they're happy to give you the business.
All right. Well, that is great stuff. Maurice, thank you for being a guest on the Notary Ninja podcast and, of course,
Thanks for having me.
on our YouTube channel as well. And it's been so great to get your insight on this, just to kind of see the behind the scenes. And so, guys, you don't have to take my word for it. You can take Maurice's word for it. I promise you, if you get on his Facebook group, you will see orders coming up. You will see, like you said, he has value added stuff. I know on our group, I think, like, same thing. I think I put a list of Neil Patel's top 50 free sites to just get on that I don't know that anybody else has even told anybody to go do that, but it's
Mhm.
little nuggets like that just to help you. We have your best interest in mind for sure. And we always look forward to having more notaries in our network. I think if you think that there's, there's too many notaries, that's not really the case. I have experienced this, and I know you have too, that where one of the challenges we have is that there's sometimes we can't fill an order. Um,
Absolutely.
And so not only do we lose money, but the potential notary would have lost money because the order couldn't be filled. So it's, get your name out there, reach out to us, get on these different platforms for sure. And, I think that's it for today. Thanks again, Maurice, for being on, guys. Kingdom Mobile Notary. Check them out. Check out his site. Check out the Facebook group. And we'll see you next time.